You've probably heard this word buzzing around everywhere lately, right? Kubernetes. It's in job descriptions, tech articles, all over the place. And if you've been nodding along but secretly wondering, what on earth is that? Well, you're in the right spot. Today, we're going to demystify it, break it all down, and finally figure this thing out. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine you've built an app, and it just explodes. It's a massive hit. Users are signing up like crazy, traffic is going through the roof, and that's amazing, right? But it's also a huge problem. All of a sudden, you have to figure out how to keep the lights on without everything crashing and burning. So now what? Well, this leads to what we can call the container chaos problem. See, most modern apps are built using containers. Just think of them like little self-contained boxes that have your code and everything it needs to run. But when your app gets popular, you're not dealing with one or two boxes. You're dealing with hundreds, maybe thousands of them. And trying to manage all of that by hand, it's an absolute nightmare. And this right here, this is the perfect picture of that nightmare versus the dream. On the left, you've got the old way, the manual chaos. That's you frantically adding more servers when traffic spikes. It's you getting woken up at 3 a.m. because something crashed and you have to restart it. It's you crossing your fingers during an update, just praying it doesn't take the whole site down. But on the right, that's the new way. Things scale on their own. Apps magically heal themselves. Traffic is balanced perfectly. And updates, they happen with zero downtime. It's a total game changer. So what's the magic behind this new way? What's the system that brings all that beautiful automated order to the chaos? You guessed it, it's Kubernetes. It was literally built to solve these massive operational headaches. So let's get a clear definition. Kubernetes, or K8, as you'll often see it written, is an open source platform, and its whole job is to automate the management, deployment, and scaling of those containerized apps we talked about. Basically, it takes all of that repetitive, stressful, manual work off your plate, so you can actually focus on building cool stuff, not just fighting fires. I absolutely love this quote because it just clicks. Seriously, imagine having a world-class team of engineers working for you 24/7. They're constantly watching your app, and the second a problem pops up, they fix it. The second traffic spikes, they add more resources. They never get tired, they never go on vacation. That is what Kubernetes does for you. All right, so how in the world does it pull this off? It might seem super complex, but the whole system is built on just 3 core concepts. And once you get these 3, I promise, everything else will start to fall into place. First up, let's start with the smallest building block, the pod. A pod is the most basic thing you can create in Kubernetes. It's basically just a little wrapper, a little bubble that holds the container for your application. So when we talk about running one copy or one instance of your app, what we're really talking about is running one pod. Okay, so these pods have to run somewhere, right? They don't just float in the cloud. They run on a node. A node is simply a worker machine. It could be a physical server in a data center or a virtual machine from a cloud provider. It's the actual computer that provides the horsepower to run your pods. And then when you group all of those nodes together, you get the final piece, the cluster. The cluster is the whole shebang. It's made up of 2 main parts. The control plane, which is the brain that makes all the decisions, and all those worker nodes, which are the muscles that actually do the heavy lifting of running your pods. So let's just recap that hierarchy real quick, because it's super important. You have one big cluster. That cluster contains a bunch of worker nodes. And those nodes run all of your individual pods. It's this structure, cluster, nodes, pods, that lets Kubernetes work its magic at any scale. Okay, so we've got the building blocks down, but how does the brain, the control plane, actually think? What's the philosophy that makes it all work so smoothly? Well, it's actually a really elegant and powerful idea. And this quote right here, it nails it. This is the core principle. You don't boss Kubernetes around with a list of commands. You don't say, do this, then do that. No. Instead, you just declare your desired state. You tell it the end goal. You say, hey, Kubernetes, I want to have 5 copies of my app running at all times. And then Kubernetes takes over and works tirelessly 24/7 to make sure reality always matches what you asked for. So how do you actually tell Kubernetes what you want? The main way is by creating a deployment. You can think of a deployment as the recipe or the blueprint for your application. Inside it, you define everything it needs to know, which app to run, how many copies or replicas you need, and even exactly how you want to handle updates. But wait, there's a catch. Pods can crash and get replaced all the time, and every time a new pod is born, it gets a new address. So how can you reliably connect to your app? The answer is a service. A service is like a permanent front door for your application. It gives you one single, stable address that never ever changes. It then cleverly routes all the traffic to whichever healthy pods are running behind it at any given moment. Now, all this theory sounds fantastic, but is anyone really using this stuff out there? Oh, yeah. The answer is pretty much everyone. This isn't some niche experimental tech. It is the backbone of the modern internet. I mean, just look at some of these names. We're talking about the absolute giants. Kubernetes is how Spotify can stream music to millions of people all at once without a hiccup. It's how Airbnb can make changes to their website constantly without you even noticing. Heck, even NASA uses it to manage the insane amount of computing power they need for their missions. And just to give you a sense of scale, let's stick with Spotify for a second. Over 600 million users. Think about the complexity of serving that many people, all with their own playlists and recommendations, all at the same time. It's a mind-boggling scale, and it's made possible by the kind of automation that Kubernetes provides. But here's what I think is the coolest part of this whole story. You don't have to be a multi-billion-dollar company to get access to this kind of power anymore. It's not just a toy for the giants. Because today, every single major cloud provider, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, offers a managed Kubernetes platform. And managed just means they handle all the really tricky parts of running the brain for you. This means that startups, small businesses, even a single person working on a project can use the exact same world-class technology that powers the biggest apps on the planet. Which really brings us to our final thought. As our world gets more digital and the demand for apps that are always on and always fast just keeps growing, it seems pretty clear that this automated way of doing things isn't just a fad. It's becoming the standard. So the real question is getting a handle on a tool like this the key to building the future of software? It's definitely something to think about.